So the Muslim claim is that the New Testament is so corrupt that it's no longer even close to the original. And they say statements or claims in the New Testament like Jesus being the Son of God or Jesus dying on the cross or Him rising from the dead were not a part of the original, and they were added at a later time. But the problem is that they can't prove this historically or by the manuscripts that we have. It's not possible to prove that this kind of corruption happened. Yes, there is variance in the New Testament manuscripts, but not this significant amount of variance. In fact, there's over 5,800 Greek manuscripts, and the meaningful, viable variance are around 1%. So the idea of doctrines being added, whole doctrines being added to the New Testament is unheard of, and I'm going to prove why in light of how manuscripts work. And so you see up here we have the original autograph, or the Gospel of John. And so John writes his Gospel, and out of that there's copies made, and out of those copies there's copies made, and out of those copies made. You know what happens is it's being dispersed into the world. So one copy goes to the west, one copy goes to the east, and no one person can gather all these manuscripts together and then put in doctrines like Jesus being the Son of God, or Him dying on the cross, or rising from the dead. And so there's no room for that, because nobody can gather them all together, because they're out in the entire world. So this is a free transmission, and so no person has the ability to start adding stuff in. And so imagine over here, I have X's on these manuscripts. Imagine a guy in Egypt, and he starts wanting to add doctrines in, like Jesus being the Son of God. What would happen is that we immediately spot it, because the manuscript over in the other part of the world doesn't have it. And so what we're at now is that we have all these manuscripts from all over the world, and we can see what was corrupt and what was not. And there's not even that significant amount of corruption to begin with, because there is no such conspiracy of this kind of corruption that Muslims want to claim. So again, the New Testament is one of the most historically reliable documents in the world, because we have such a wealth, and some people call it an embarrassment of riches, because there's so much manuscripts for the New Testament. It's unheard of in any other document.